Thank you. Hello. Hello there. Thank you very much. I'm going to start by telling you that I'm a musician and I travel the world playing concerts. I play about 300 concerts a year. That's how I make a living. It's also my calling in life. I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet. I get to make a living doing what I love. And people say, are you in the music business? I call it the happiness business. I play music and you get happy. That's what matters to me. So I was on a long flight in business class. I was hobnobbing it up in business class, and the gentleman beside me starts talking to me, and he says, so what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm a guitar player. And he looked at me like I was in the wrong place, you know, I should have been downstairs. And and he said, you make a living playing the guitar? Wow. What band do you play with? And I said, I don't play with a band. I play solo. And he said, oh, so you're a singer? I said, no, I'm a guitar player. But then I started thinking about it. You know, I do have a band. The band is me, and I think like a band. And that's what's different about what I do. I think like a band when I play and when I write and when I perform. And that's how I hear music. I hear it as if it is a band, and I write as if I'm writing for a band. So I'd like you to meet my band just to get started, and that is my bass player, drummer, I got a rhythm guy as well. Think of the money I'm saving up here. And then finally the melody guy. I'll play the bridge, I think. Thank you. That's my one-man band. Thank you. And I wouldn't be standing up here tonight and playing this way if it wasn't for a great man by the name of Chet Atkins. And I was about 7 years old when I heard him. I was on the road with my family. I'm one of 6 children, and 4 of us played music. But we were driving along in the car, and I tuned in the radio, and I heard this song by this American guitar player by the name of Chet Atkins. And what he was doing is something I'm just going to quickly explain to you. With his thumb, he was playing what the left hand on the piano would play, the accompaniment, and then with his fingers he was playing the melody and the harmonies. And this is what it sounds like. Here's the accompaniment. And then here's the melodies. Is that enough? I'll play with it. So that moment was a galvanizing moment in my life. And I heard that sound, and I knew he was playing everything at once. And everybody told me, oh, don't take any notice to that. It's a recording trick. You can't really do that. But somehow I could hear it, and I wanted to work it out. And I just kept at it and at it and at it, listening to Chet Atkins, and I eventually got it. And of course, many years later, I wrote him a fan letter, and we became pen pals. And then by the time I was in my early 20s, I had learned so much of his material and taught myself to play in a way that was different from everybody else. And I knew it, and I was enjoying it so much. It was so much of a challenge and so creative in its own way. And when I eventually got to meet him, I played for him, and he confirmed that I was doing everything right, even though I had no training. And I still haven't had any training. I still don't read or write music, but I can write you a song. I just can't write it out on paper. So anyway, this style that I developed has helped me to keep my one-man show interesting and to try to come up with new ideas. So in my late teens, I started listening to a lot of pop music and trying to come up with arrangements using these techniques, the technique of playing everything at once. So some tunes by the Beatles make really interesting pieces, and they have become a big part of my repertoire, and people love it, where you get that. Something like this. So you get the idea, right? Thank you. And another thing I started doing when I was young was banging on my guitar like a drummer, because I am a drummer. I've always played the drums and loved it. So when we were fortunate enough to have electronics where there's a microphone inside the guitar, I started experimenting by playing the guitar like a drum. And so I found these patterns, and I found a way of making it sound really interesting. And whoa, look out. And then I started trying to use my imagination and try new things. So I got myself a brush and I started doing this. And then I started doing this with my brush so I could get Thank you. Thank you very much. This stuff is all in the name of entertainment and making my one-man band interesting for my audience. There's another sound and another technique that I use on the guitar that I first heard Chet Atkins doing, and then a little bit later on, a great guitar player who died young. His name was Lenny Breau, and this technique is called cascading harmonics. And it's not easy to do, but it is a beautiful sound. And the reason it's called cascading is it's kind of like, people describe it like waterfall. So, like this. And I use this technique to make my arrangements interesting and create parts of my show that become very intimate with the crowd. And so some songs like Somewhere Over the Rainbow or the Beatles' Michelle, where I use this technique. Thank you. So I use those techniques to make a sound that I never heard anybody else doing, and especially here in Australia. But when I started traveling overseas, I noticed that most people over there hadn't heard it before, and it was a new sound for them. Now, and these are all things that I got from Chet Atkins, and one of the things that I think I learned the most from him would be the quality of songs that you choose to play. And the other thing was, I quickly learned that if I wanted to stand out as a musician, I should play my own songs. So I started writing songs at a very young age, and I spent a lot of time learning the craft of songwriting. And it's one of the parts of my life that I really love the most. And I want to play you a little bit of a song that I wrote. I read a book called The Journals of Lewis and Clark. And Lewis and Clark were these explorers who discovered the American West, and they were led by a young native girl. And after I read this book, it challenged me to write a song and to describe the American West and the great unknown and constant travel. So let me play you a little bit of this song. If you want to close your eyes and imagine you're out in the American West, that's what you can do. That's what songs do. They transport us and take us. Thank you. And every now and again, I come up with an arrangement that involves quite a lot of my techniques, all involved in one song. And one of those songs is this song, Classical Gas. Thank you. All right. Now, I'm going to read a little bit because my wife helped me put all this together, and she writes in such a wonderful way that I decided that I wanted to read a little. So this is what she wrote for me to say to you. A lot of these things that I do could be seen as show pony tricks, but for me, the real critics are my fans and my audience. When they laugh at my bad jokes and when they cry at my ballads and when they share stories that involve my music, it touches my heart so deeply. And I know that I'm doing the right thing. My music has been played at weddings, at funerals. Others have learned my songs and make their living playing like I do. My music has brought life to Alzheimer's patients, willpower to cancer survivors, an escape for grieving families, joy to people's daily drive to work. I hear these stories and I know that music goes beyond what we see, hear, and feel. There's some innate sense that gets triggered by it, and no matter how tone-deaf you think you are. That's why we tap our foot when we hear a groove like this. Yeah. There's another point that I wanted to make here, and it was one of the things that has enabled me to live the dream life. In other words, do what I really love and achieve my goals. Chet Atkins once told me that I am the most fearless player he'd ever met. And I think that being fearless is a huge part of breaking molds and raising self-belief. I have had many times in my life where people told me that my plans were rubbish, they were crazy, that I would fail. But I ignore the critics and I keep working to make my show and my life better and better. Music brings people together, and I love being a catalyst for it. So I play my shows, I meet my fans as often as I can, I answer their questions on my forum, I read their Facebook comments, I upload videos to YouTube for them to enjoy. I continue to tour around the world and take my one-band band with me. And just remember, folks, that life is not a rehearsal, so you better get on with it. Thank you. Thank you.